Perfect. All right. Happy Monday, everyone. Absolutely awesome to be back. I know that I was out Friday for the golf tournament and then come back Monday. We get some pre-market news about a GNOG, Golden Nugget Online Gaming acquisition by DraftKings. It's going to be a 0.365 to 1 stock conversion. There we go. Where's my coffee at? I got it. I got about one sip in prior to this morning's live stream, so I'll take another sip here. Absolutely delicious. All right, moving on. So you can see Golden Nugget was about $12 per share, low 12s. News came out. You can see the huge volume spikes that we have. Lots of buying going on for GNOG during these pre-market hours and settling right around the $18 or $19 per share. And if you think about it, every one of these GNOG stocks is close to about a third of what one DraftKings stock is. So if you take the price that it's currently trading at, multiply it by 3, you get about what we're going to have for DraftKings, and that's just a ballpark. But it's going to put us close to, in that low 50s, DKNG. There we go. All right, so the fact that we're trading around $53 per share in the pre-market hours kind of matches up with that price action that we see with GNOG. So that acquisition is to take place in Q1 of 2022. Let's go ahead and check the news on that and see what we have. By the way, while I'm switching over to that news, looks like I'm going to have to refresh YouTube here so I can see your comments. If you're putting anything in the comments, it looks like it bugged out on me. But go ahead and greet me if there's anything specific you want to see or ask about, or just pleasant comments to put out there. Go ahead and put those in the chat. It's always great to hear from you and be able to interact with everybody who's watching. All right, so there we are. Let's go over here. And I got Seeking Alpha up here. And the reason I chose Seeking Alpha is because they're kind enough to, pardon me, I just navigated backwards. That's what I get for being uncoordinated. But they will give us a little bit of a summary. Those are just some of the highlights of the news from it. So it's a little bit better for live streaming. So it's a $300 million deal. Are buying them out for $300 million. It's a $1.56 billion valuation that we have. There we go. All right. Hey, I can actually see the chat. We are in good shape now. I couldn't see that before. All right. So DraftKings stock gains on acquiring Golden Nugget Online Gaming. There we are. And an all-stock transaction implied equity valuation of $1.56 billion as per the agreement. There's that 0.365 at DraftKings shares per share for each share owned of GNOG works out to $18.83 per share of Golden Nugget based on Friday's close, more than 50% premium. GNOG is up 53% pre-market, and so you can read all that. The acquisition will enable DraftKings to leverage Golden Nugget's well-known brand, iGaming product experience, and existing combined database of more than 5 million customers. So it's huge for DraftKings and it's huge for Golden Nugget. And Golden Nugget was named as an acquisition target last week sometime. And the fact that DraftKings came along soon after and picked them up is good news for all of us. I have both DraftKings and Golden Nugget, so this will just ultimately add to my DraftKings position moving forward. And I think that we're going to have some excellent Q3 and Q4 news when those reports come out for DraftKings. And I think the results of all the marketing that they've put out there will work out for them in the future. All right, so there we go. The synergies, $300 million at maturity, will uplift revenue from additional cross-promotion opportunities. And this part right here about Tillman Fertitta, the CEO of GNOG, has about almost half the company. And he also agreed to hold those shares for 1 year following the closing of the transaction. So that's something that when you see the transaction happen, and I don't know if we got a date on it or not, it says expect to close first quarter of 2022. That means the first quarter of 2023, depending on how big of a position it has, if Fertitta is able to sell his position in GNOG, that could be something that would possibly be a little bit of downward pressure for DraftKings and something that might be overlooked. Of course, it could be something that would be small enough by then we wouldn't really see a whole lot of downward pressure, but it's just something to keep in mind that lockup period on his shares would happen one year following. So that would be the first quarter of 2023, where you could see if he wanted to sell his shares, where he really could sell his shares. All right, so back over to the price action that we have over here. Let's go back over to GNOG, and I do want to catch up with the comments that we have here. There we are. Excellent. So this is nice when you have one that's in your portfolio that happens to pop up like this. So to go up 50% in a single day through an acquisition like this one. This is one that either you have it ahead of time and you catch it, or you don't have it ahead of time, and then, well, you'd have to be just astoundingly lucky to catch the news early enough to really buy in at some of the cheaper prices before it comes up to these prices. And now it's inextricably tied to whatever price action DraftKings has, because now, even though they're not the same company, the sort of trade sort of like they're the same company, assuming that that acquisition would go through. All right, let me read through some of the comments here that we got. All right. We got Pat for every GNOG. All right. Price target now, really confused. Okay. Excellent. Already hit $20 per share. Okay. All right. Wow, that is a lot. All right. SoFi, good morning, Pyro. Target prices, please. So for GNOG, we have to look at DraftKings target price if we want to know GNOG's target price moving forward from here. And that would take us, well, we'd basically basing it off the 12-month price target that we would have for GNOG. So I believe DraftKings, according to what we have here on Tape Ranks, is about $64 per share. Let's find that out. All right. Good morning, Sean and Taco, Pat, Pyro, Ed, good morning. I think I said Taco. It's been one of those days. Hello, Joshua. Hello, Anime. Oh, Anemian? All right. So, yeah, $64 is what we have here for DraftKings. So let's just divide that by 3. And so that would be about $21 per share in 12 months' time, according to the analyst estimates that we have from Tip Ranks here. So looking at GNOG, what's its price going forward? Well, if you assume it being just part of DraftKings by this point in time, once those shares get bought out, then they won't trade under GNOG anymore. They'll trade under DraftKings, and you'll get about a third of a DraftKings share per share that you have. It's 0.365, so it's just over a third. So if you have 3 shares of GNOG, that's just over 1 share of DraftKings. So moving forward from that, it's about $21 per share, even though, let's go here. And this is interesting too. So what we have is a $25 price target. And so you might look at that and say, well, things just got worse when you look at it by a 12-month price target for GNOG. And I'm going to say yes and no. So for GNOG, being a small company with lots of growth potential also gives it lots of risk. And so joining with a larger company like DraftKings actually sort of takes some of that risk out of it. So even though we may have come down about 20% in that average price target by going being acquired by DraftKings, it actually gives us a little bit more certainty, taking some of that risk out. So it took out some of the reward, if you want to think about it that way. So then we don't have as much of a headwind for GNOG moving forward. At least that's my take on it. You guys are welcome to form your own opinions as always, but that's just what I see. So whose was it? It was Pat here asking for that price target, 21-ish, and that would be assuming that that DraftKings shows us that 64-ish dollars per share that we have. So right around 20, low 20s would be something that that you could see for Golden Nugget. And like I said, it's going to be something that's going to be pretty well tied to what we see happening with DraftKings up until that acquisition happens, assuming that acquisition does in fact go through. And I don't see any reason why at this point it wouldn't go through, especially with all the progress that Golden Nugget has made so far as through adoption in the states that they have entered, and also furthering that adoption or furthering that legalization that we have for the gambling, and also further adoption in other states. Pennsylvania, hopefully, we keep our fingers crossed. That should be one of the next ones, and Pennsylvania is a big state for gambling. And that might, I have to look and see what kind of licensing they applied for, or what sort of licensing they got for Pennsylvania. I think that one's a little bit different than the licensing that they have through Michigan and New Jersey. It's really, really tangled, the fact that gambling varies by state. And so it's a lot of work for the company and anybody who's researching about it to keep up with which states allow which type of gambling and everything, and what the different requirements are. But Pennsylvania should be a big market for GNOG, which would help out DraftKings as well. All right, so update on MAXN. We'll take a look at that. There you go. Yeah, it is a great move for GNOG. All right, so Maxion. There we are. All right, so just taking a quick peek here at the price action of Maxion over the past few weeks since I've mentioned it. There we go. So the nice thing about Maxion is that they have gone through a significant de-risking, and the fact that they keep on hitting on this this low price shows us really good support. It's a matter of what is it going to take to come out of this sort of sideways trade that it's doing. So this is something that over time is going to pay out. The analyst estimates on this one show significant upside from where it's currently sitting at. So about 40% upside to the analyst, average analyst estimate of 2163. Let's go to tip ranks here. There we are. So Maxion Solar, $20, showing a 30% upside from what they have here. Yesterday initiated at a hold at $17 per share, and then last month $14. So this is one that it looks like had a slightly larger upside. Maybe I'd have to go back and see when I mentioned it, if it was May or if it was June. However, I don't really track this company, but it was one that that had, I think, upgraded rating. Maybe it was this one, even by Raymond James, when I mentioned it. So this is one that we're going to have to watch play out. However, when we look at the chart and the fact that we have sort of bottomed out right along this this bottom here in the high 14s, we are trading below the 50-day. We're trading below the 200-day. So we are showing signs of being bearish. However, this is more in a consolidation. We can see the volume's gone out of it, and we can also see that the price action's gone out of it. So being in this sort of consolidating phase, then it becomes a matter of looking at the news for the company and finding out what the next the near-term catalysts are. Should there be any that's going to cause them to change this current path that they're on, putting them back on a bullish trajectory moving forward. So this is energy and a renewable energy play. They are a solar company, so it's one that that if you are interested in investing, it's a matter of finding out how they're placed and what the next big thing is for solar. And if we want to know more about how solar is doing, you can always take a look at the Invesco ETF that we have here. It's ticker symbol TAN, and you can see going all the way back to mid-May, when we had a lot of the sell-off and stuff, that we have a decent amount of interest coming back into solar, and then sort of trading sideways here as well. And Maxion, being one of those smaller companies that we have, is also doing that sideways trade, but with much less volatility. So it is up from where it was at in May, but Maxion has yet to take lift off. So checking out what headwinds they have, what tailwinds are coming for them, those would be things to know for them moving forward. BTC is absolutely pumping. The market's about to open. Here, let's go to Marathon Digital. There we are. There we go. The market's open, and you can see immediately we get a spike in the candle here on the daily chart. And if we go to intraday, where we can actually see some of that market open activity, you can see it peaked out here at 37.45, and Bitcoin last I saw was over 45,000. So here I have it on CoinMarketCap, actually getting close to 46,000. Let's see if it peaked for us. It does. Well, right there, it says in the high, $46,016.83. So excellent to start turning things around in the crypto space. As we move along with that, and as we move forward with that, that's loading up here. We'll go back here, and we'll use WEBULL. There we are. All right, so we actually have a neat little, okay, this is the 30-minute chart. We have this resistance right here at about that $46,000 mark, and we're squeezing upward with it by the bulls, putting that upward pressure on it. And it's possible that we get another break sometime in the near future, next couple half hours, before we see that next run take place. You can sort of see it happening back here in the chart. It doesn't mean that we're going to see that breakout, but in a smaller time frame like this one, we can most certainly see that. Let's take a look at the daily chart. See, ASY is popping up everywhere. All right, Ed, I'll check it out. So here's the daily chart that we have for Bitcoin, and it finally, oh, this is awesome. It made it up over the 200-day, and this is, well, yesterday it peaked above it, so we still kind of hit resistance. Today, closing up above that 200-day, that orange moving average that we have up here, 45,000. If we get to close above in today's daily chart, that's an excellent bullish sign that we have. It's excellent that we have the 50-period simple moving average curving back up. So that's turning back around. The 200-day is starting to go positive again, and we're trading above the 50. We're starting to trade above the 200. So lots of bullish signs going on. You can see the bullish pennant formation I drew. When did I draw this? I feel like I drew this. I'd have to go back and check my videos, but with this line going across, I probably drew it either the 28th or the 29th. We broke to the upside a little bit, and then we kind of sold back off a little bit, and now finally we get the rest of that breakout taking place. And if we zoom out more on Bitcoin, just so we can see the price action, right there at about 46,000, we have room. We're kind of locked in up to about 48,000 is about the next time that we hit resistance for Bitcoin. Ethereum also crushing it. There you go. There's Ethereum, and it's trading it. And I had these lines drawn on here a while back. I'm not sure exactly when, but you can see this line of resistance that we had. We broke it, and now it's acting really nicely as support for us at about that $2,800 mark. And it looks like we're hitting heavy resistance just above $3,100. Where did we peak out on these? So we peaked at 31.93, and then 31.88, and then today 31.53. So breaking that 3,200 mark is our next milestone that we have for Ethereum, and that gives us there's nothing but room to run after that $3,200 mark. So watch that for Ethereum. I also have, there it is, watchtheburn.com. If you just want to check this out, you can see how much Ethereum has been burned, and at $3,000 per token, that's like $51 million that have been burned off so far in Ethereum since August the 5th, I believe was the day that the London hard fork went live at about like 8:37 a.m. or something like that. So seeing over 17,000 burn, it isn't keeping up with the amount of Ethereum that are being created. However, it does take away from that inflation rate of about 4.5 to 4.3% annual inflation that we have for Ethereum, and that's now being cut into. And then once we start to get proof of stake happening, and as soon as we get the sharding also up and running over the next year to 2 years as the Ethereum 2.0 rolls out, and we keep on getting the different developments on the way to ETH 2.0, this could be something that, depending on the sort of the number of transactions, the volume of transactions that we have, just how busy the network is, we can see that burn rate go up, and we can see that inflation go down low enough where it's below 1% annually, and we start to really lose a lot of selling pressure because the miners are no longer being rewarded for mining. Now we switch over to proof. When we do that, we switch over to proof of stake. That takes away a lot of the selling pressure. Also, a whole lot less being made. And then there's also talk of possibly becoming a deflationary asset, which would increase the demand because of the diminishing supply. All right. So let's get to some of these other ones that you guys are talking about in the chat here. So I think CASY was the next one that I saw, and that was from Ed. There we are. All right, so where do we bottom out with this thing? We bottom out in the low 190s, currently trading at 196. So we're down near support with the price that we have, and that 50-day coming down. The 200-day still positive, 50 days negative, and it looks like we might have sort of a slow, steady climb going back up. So whatever caused this gap down that we have in the sell-off that dropped us down below the 200-day, it looks like there might be a little bit of recovery coming from that. As far as compared to the analyst estimates, we're trading just with the way I view things, if we're trading below the low analyst estimate, that's usually where a lot of the deals are found. And not saying that every time it does that it's a deal, but I like to find stocks that I am going to purchase that are well priced and cheaply priced for high conviction plays. So for this one, trading where it does right now, sort of in the middle of the low to the average, not bad. If it was trading at the average or above, I would consider it a little bit rich. This is a company I haven't heard of. There you go, Casey's General Stores and its subsidiaries operate. Okay, got it. And then let's go to tip ranks and see what sort of time frame we have on this. I'm gonna go back and take a look at the chart. All right, so 225. Last analyst estimate was 15 days ago, 235, 2 months before that. So it looks like we're due for a few more updated price targets, a few more analyst estimates. And it looks like pretty much everything that we have within the last 2 months where it's mentioned, the only exception being JP Morgan. Everything else is up in the 200s. So the low 200s, and then we have one that just passes into the mid 200s from Berenberg Bank. All right, so 14% upside from there. And then let me see, Casey is popping up everywhere. So this could be one where some of that price does come back up into it. I'd find out what caused it to drop back in June in the first place, and see what it's going to take to get off of support that we have right now. And in the near term, it looks like that $200 mark is going to be where we find resistance. And it's also a point of psychological resistance. So we could hit up against that pretty hard. Breaking over it could be one of the next things with whatever news it takes to make it over that before we really start to see that price action really climbing back up in meaningful ways. All right. We'll check out Robinhood for Taco here. All right. So Robinhood still hanging out around $60 per share. Not too bad. It was neat to watch it make its run on the day when it went up to $85 per share, and then we had a sell-off on the next day, all the way it closed at $50 per share. And for me, I haven't read up enough on Robinhood to determine whether or not I really want to buy into it, to see how much growth I think lies ahead of them. But they have had a massive run up with retail, and then I know that there's some shade coming from people from the whole GME thing. And locking people out of trades, and I get that. But for me, and as far as taking a position, it's whether or not the company would actually turn into something that would be worth the $60 price target that we have. I'm sorry, not price target, the $60 price that we see forming up right now. For me, back when it was in the low to mid 30s, it was a consideration. I'm like, well, I'll take a look at it, give it a while, see where it goes. And it just jumped up so quickly and so fast that I just don't know. I don't know that I would pay these prices yet. For me, I think I'd like it to drop back down. And in the meantime, if I learn enough about the company that I choose to take a position, then I would know better what price I would jump in at. We look at the level 2 data on it. We get a price wall right around of support, right around $59 per share. And we keep on melding off a lot of the selling pressure. So we have a decent amount of buy side pressure that just keeps repeating here. And sell side seems to be pretty muted at the moment. It looks like maybe mid 59s is where we start to get that resistance coming in for Robinhood in the short term here. All right. Excella. There we are. Just a quick look at the daily chart here to see where things are at. So it looks like $3.50 is where things really start to hit. Wow. Okay. Well, we have excellent volume going back to the end of June and then through July. And we still, the volumes are dropping. RSI is still in bullish territory. And now that we're zoomed in a little bit more, I'll look a little bit closer at resistance here. It looks like the mid 3s. There we go. And things, we actually have just a little bit of a squeeze right now between where some movement could take place sometime soon to the upside or the downside. This isn't one that I follow, so I don't know a lot about it other than just looking at the chart and seeing what's taking place at the moment. We're trading up above the 50 and the 200. So that's very bullish for this. We have very excellent volume leading into this most recent pop that we had. Probably a little bit overbought here when it went up over $5 per share. Analyst estimates on this one, we have one So it's a smaller company, probably pre-profit. So a decent upside up to that 1. I don't know if we'll get anything else out of tip ranks. There we go. We'll get back to GNOG in just a moment here. I also do want to take a look at Ethereum and Bitcoin Grayscale Trust. All right. So 12 months ago. All right. So that's the only thing that we have from 12 months ago. So a 12-month price target 465 from 12 months ago. Small companies like this are difficult to find coverage. So really, without knowing what it is that they do, I can't really comment too much. However, I would look and see, this looks, with that volume right there, looks sort of like a short squeeze taking place. And with this volume here, this looks like maybe a little bit more is going on that got people excited about it. I would learn what took place there and also see what the next catalyst is that's going to push this either upward or downward. But we could be getting to a point where we start to break in either direction. Given the recent trend and the fact that we're trading up above the 50 and the 200 with the positive slopes that we have, it could be another small break to the upside. But remember that we have resistance at about $3.50. All right. Let's check out our ETH, and then we'll check out the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust as well. There we are. Excellent price action that we have out of this because it is tied to what we see happening with Ethereum as well. So if we go up to the peak of the 50 period, right around that low 27s, and we're currently trading about mid 27s. So this is going to be tied to the price of whatever Ethereum does. And Ethereum's been on a run recently. So ETH has also been, or ETHE, has been on a run as well. And so if we go to GBTC, they should also be having a good day. There you go. Here's Grayscale Bitcoin Trust trading up above the 200-day. Absolutely excellent. $36 at the moment. There we go. So I'm going to move this so I can actually see more of the, there we go. All right, there they are popping up. All right, so we have that stuff. So where are we at percentage-wise? Up almost 7% today with Bitcoin up, flirting with $46,000, moving up above 46. Of course, we'll also move this up. I was talking about this one while we had the depressed prices with Bitcoin and Ethereum. I also mentioned about Marathon and Riot, and they are also having excellent days right along with it. So I said, while the market's low on crypto, these are some securities that you can check out. And it was GBTC, ETH, Mara, and Riot. I put the 4 of those together in one video. And so if you're looking for securities, exposure to crypto without going into the crypto markets, that's definitely an avenue that you could take. So for some people, for retirement portfolios and things where they couldn't hold crypto directly, these were just other ways to gain exposure. And if they did follow those videos that I made, they should be sitting in really good positions right now relative to where they were when they purchased them. And I think that I made that video back in June. So up rather significantly, probably about at least 30% up from that time of purchase back in June. All right, so let's go back to GNOG here. All right, look at that gap up. Man, is that fun. And also checking out the volume spike. So just during the regular market hours here, 10 million shares traded. And if we go way out, see some of the other ones. It looks like all the way back when probably when we had the announcement of the SPAC merger with Golden Nugget Online Gaming. Where are we at? 21 million shares traded for the day. So huge volume spike here. And this price, like I said, it's going to be tied to whatever DraftKings does. And so it probably is going to hold right around that $18 mark today. We got lots of sell side pressure showing up in 1808. Looks like we have more of it at 1810. So those are things that are going to keep the price down a little bit from where it was at, that are going to keep it from running. And if we go to DraftKings to see what kind of day it's having. There we go. It's having a pretty much even day compared to the previous close that we had. And looking at DraftKings, something that's noteworthy, check out the 200-day and how well it acted as resistance for us. And right now we're currently trading below that. So we have room down to, well, we can go about midway between them to about 51.32, but I think more than likely we'll find much better support right around that 49.82 that our 50-day simple moving average is currently sitting at. So for DraftKings, so 49, let me think about that for just a quick moment. 52, okay. Yeah, so just take a third of whatever this price is, and that will give you a ballpark estimate for, so like $17 per share, for example. So 3/17 is 51. But remember, it's not quite a third. You actually get over a third of a share. It's 0.365 of a DraftKings share for every one share of Golden Nugget online gaming you have. So it's going to be just a little bit north of that 17. It's actually, if you do the 17 and then 10% of that 17, it actually puts you right around those mid-18s, which would be kind of close to where GNOG is currently trading. And I don't know that we'll see a whole lot more price action coming out of GNOG today without DraftKings also having a whole lot more price action to go along with it. All right. Let's see. Got a while ago for 1952. The time to come out. All right. So, all right, Casper, I got your comments here. I can never tell you what to buy. I can never tell you what to sell. I can't give any financial advice. I'm legally not allowed to. So for me, for Golden Nugget, I think I have it around $16 or $17 a share. So for its current price right now, this price action put me back in the green from what we have at the moment. Now, if you look at the upside that we have for it, it can move up. According to the average price target that we have for DraftKings over the next 12 months, assuming we were to make it there, we have about 10 to 20% upside, somewhere in that range, from Golden Nugget's current price, assuming that they can make it back up to where DraftKings does. So basing off what we know for DraftKings, it's something that could take us back up into the low 20s, assuming we made that 12-month price target for DraftKings at some point in time, or actually pre-acquisition, or even if they do, even if they are acquired, your shares get automatically converted over into shares of DraftKings. So really, you could take a look at it as whether or not you're bullish on DraftKings. So like I said before, even though you might be losing some of that upside potential, you're also de-risking a little bit because you're going with a bigger company that's a leader in its space. So I can't say to buy or sell. I can tell you what I'm doing. I'm keeping a hold of my shares. I will wait until they get converted into DraftKings shares, and I'll probably keep on holding because I think that DraftKings is really, really super nimble, and I think that they're also bulldogs in their space where they'll do whatever it takes to not only innovate but also to advertise, so that way they can stay on top and that they're going to continue to be leaders with online gambling and online sports betting. So for me, I'm just going to hold right through this. If I was trading it like a swing trade, for example, rather than a long-term hold, then it would be a time that this is, in my opinion, assuming that DraftKings price doesn't change in the near term, that it stays relatively where it's at around that $51 per share, then if it were a swing trade for me, I'd probably cut it loose because I don't see any immediate price action taking place. However, we are coming up on the NFL season, and we could, I mean, that's a big time for online sports betting, and I think DraftKings is going to be there to really capitalize on that opportunity. So let me see what else we got. Oh, I know which one I wanted to talk about here. Digital Turbine, I believe, has earnings being reported after the market close, and they are currently look at how well they're dancing along the 200-day simple moving average that we have here. Its support, it got broken, its resistance, and just kind of weaving in and out around that 200-day. Didn't quite make it up to the 50-day that we have here. Their earnings, if we take a look at what we have in Seeking Alpha for Digital Turbine, ticker symbol APPS, so apps. There it is. So for this quarter, they've had all upward revisions and no downward revisions. So those are very bullish things, and that means high anticipation for their earnings coming out. And I believe that they report after the market closed today. So let's go into their earning preview on Seeking Alpha. Pyro Squad's asking for Viacom. We'll check that out in a moment. All right, let me make this larger on the screen for everyone. There you go. So that's for them, it's their fiscal quarter one. So it's Q2 2021 for the calendar year. Consensus estimate is 31 cents per share. And check that out. That's over double year over year what they had. And then for revenue, that's going up 3 times from what they had year over year. So really awesome numbers that they're putting out. And I think that they still have room to run. So putting in these triple digit growth numbers as they have, very strong. And then they also have, I believe, partnered with TikTok. And TikTok is, I believe, the fastest growing social media site that we have out there for putting those short videos on those preloaded onto devices. So really looking to capitalize on some of the ad revenue that would come out through there and through their acquisitions. And we should see between this quarter and next quarter some of the results of those acquisitions really coming out and seeing how well they've helped out the top lines and bottom lines for Digital Turbine. So you can see over the last 2 years that apps has beaten EPS 88% of the time and has beaten revenue estimates 75% of the time. And here are the revisions that I was talking about. Over the last 3 months, earnings per share estimates have seen 3 upward revisions and 0 downward. Revenue estimates have seen 4 upward revisions and 0 downward. So there is a lot of expectation for earnings, really good earnings reports that we have. And the fact that that they had to upwardly revise the earnings per share and the revenue is good news. And that so far out of the revisions that have happened, there are people who haven't put downward revisions out thinking that they've done worse. So excellent news for that. And we're going to see that in the after hours for Digital Turbine. And here we'll go to tip ranks. There we go. 64% upside reported from that 65.24, which is the last price being reported here on tip ranks. So up to $107. We have 4 analysts covering it, saying to buy it, 1 saying to hold it. So that's their total of 5. So even at a hold, still $83 per share coming from this Canaccord Genuity that we have from 4 days ago, 8 days ago, 115. So you can see we have decently bullish estimates coming out for Digital Turbine moving forward. So I have a few shares of Digital Turbine, and I think that should we get those earnings, the after hours could be very interesting if those earnings come out with significant beats and also significant forward guidance for fiscal quarter 2 of 2021, which would be quarter 3 by the calendar year of 2021. So this is one I say to keep on your radar. Can't tell you to buy, can't tell you to sell. I can tell you that it really piques my interest, and I bought it a couple of different times at under $60 per share. So it's doing pretty well right now, rocking about $65 per share, and that's about across the top of what we see here. Like I said, we're bound to bump against resistance at the 67, 61, and I'm really excited to see the earnings come out, and I hope that those upward revisions that we got are still be even more than what the analysts expect. That could be good news for us. And like I said, that guidance that we have, that forward outlook is really what we want to spend our time looking at following those earnings. All right. Where's Riot Blockchain? They were up at over 11%. Now they're back down to under 10% up for the day, which is still excellent. Got good strength on the RSI for Riot Blockchain. Let's look intraday. All right, so taking a look at intraday that we have here, volume spike 5 million. There we go. So these were ones that were bound to move with the crypto markets. So when crypto is up, it's a no-brainer that you'll also see these up as well. But same thing when it's down, you'll see these go down as well. So depending on where those resistance levels are for crypto, or for Bitcoin, for example. Here, we'll bring this up and bring up the trading view. If you know the resistance levels are, and you're trying to do range type trades or swing type trades in the regular equities market, for example, those are things that you can look at for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, for Riot Blockchain, and Marathon Digital, and ETH and GBTC, all different ones that you can make those different plays. So with the run up right now, some people might be looking at this thinking that it might start bumping up against resistance sometime soon. And for Bitcoin, like I said, we have room up till about 48,000. Should we close up above 46,000? There we go. So as far as looking for those shorter term plays, excellent price action right now. And Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other big cryptos out there, Cardano, the Uniswap token, Polygon chain, I think is awesome. So those are all different ones that, that volatility is still going to be there, but the crypto market, I think, is going to be very strong. And I think that, we're starting the next really good run. I don't know that we're going to turn around. If we do turn around a little bit for some profit taking, as long as we stay above the 50% retracement level, we're still on an excellent path. So hopefully we don't see too much of a jag downward. I said before, for these days back in here, for Bitcoin's price action, that as long as we don't get too deep of penetration back down to the downside, then we're still in that bullish path. And so the same still holds true. Even if this trades sideways for a while or drops down, we don't want to see it drop down too much. So holding above 41 to 42,000 would be really good. Certainly holding above these previous lows that we had here around 37.5 would also be good for making sure that we keep having that bullish momentum help us out, and that we start to make that next price run that we had like back here. Let me zoom out a little bit more. There we go. So starting all the way in November of 20, and then we peaked out for a while around 41. We sold off, but notice we stayed above the 50% retracement level, took a next run. And then some of the volume started to go out of this, and then we got the big sell-off following. So moving back over here, we should check on our friend ChargePoint. PLTR pumping before earnings. Yeah, we'll have to check them out. So let me see what else we have. Thank you for your answer. So for one GNOG stock, how can you calculate to a DraftKings stock? Is it just 0.365 shares of DraftKings? Where's my pen? All right. So I'm not going to do this today because I don't want to test it out on the live stream, but I have my my graphics tablet here that I can actually write stuff down. I just haven't used it while live streaming yet with everything else going on, and I'm afraid of my system resources. So that's a little bit troublesome, but it's something that we'll overcome over time. So the basics of it, Casper, come out to whatever you need to multiply 0.365 by in order to get to 1. And it's going to be a number that's just less than 3. That's going to tell you how many shares of DraftKings you would get. So if you take that, hang on one second here. I'm going to see if I can put it up on screen. Just give me a moment. There we go. Maybe it'll let me. Maybe not. Okay, hang on one sec. All right, so let me just give the short answer because I can't put that up on screen at the moment. But if you just take one DraftKings stock, take the number 1, divide it by 0.365. What that will do is it will give you about 2 3/4 shares. So 2 3/4 shares of GNOG would translate to 1 share of DraftKings. So if you have 3 shares of GNOG, that turns into over 1 share of DraftKings. So again, take 1, divide it by 0.365, and that tells you how many shares of GNOG it takes in order to become 1 share of DraftKings. All right. So let's go to FCX. All right. We'll come back to you, Charge Point. We still love you. I just want to make sure that I'm addressing the comments here. By the way, I can see what time it is. It is just after 10, and I always aim to end at 10, and I always end up going overtime. But I will go through at least up to, let me see. Looks like the last one mentioned is PLTR. So FCX, PLTR, and then probably by about 10:15, I'll wrap things up. So the next 13 and a half minutes. So FCX, let's go to the daily chart so I can see what's going on. Yeah, we'll have to see for skills. And I've mentioned skills past couple times ever since their most recent earnings come out and their monthly transacting users having dropped a little bit. And what it would take in order for them to turn things around in the nature of being in the esports gaming industry that they're in. It's going to be a very spiky, volatile kind of stock because it's really and sort of random and dependent on a game becoming viral and or games on their platform becoming viral and seeing that next adoption wave come through. And so not knowing when that next mass adoption wave will come through for some of the skills games that are on their platform, that makes it a question mark on their stock price too for, when will we see the price action turn around? We don't have that time. If it could be predicted, if we knew what it would take, then we wouldn't see as much volatility for stock prices like that. And you would also see much different game development in the app stores, whether it's Google's App Store or Apple's App Store and, any other sort of game that you have, even the games that are on Steam. Anyway, moving forward onto Freeport McMoran. There you go. Basic materials, mineral resources, mining, especially mining. And analyst estimates. Okay. So it's not trading too rich, but just a little rich. So 36.60 it's currently trading at. 44 is the average analyst estimate from 18 analysts. And let me see. Mining play at 2021. So oil price, toss that out there. 7 material stocks ready to supply infrastructure. Boom. So, okay. So if this is one targeted for infrastructure, it could be a really good thing. The price action right now, we are near near support levels that we have. They can drop down to 33, dropping all the way down to 31. I will point out, look how nicely it had followed the 50-day for support for a while. It broke the 50-day for support, and now it's using the 200-day as support and the 50-day as resistance. So finding out what caused this sort of gap that we had back in mid-June would be really good at, seeing what sort of headwinds it faces. And you could also look, I don't mention this enough, if you go into their company's SEC filings for any company, they actually do mention risk factors to their business. So the things that they think are going to be mitigating are things that they have to watch out for. So that's a nice way to find out, what sort of headwinds potential headwinds they could see, things that could pop up that, we might not expect being on the outside of the company, hearing what comes inside. Almost even buy and sell pressure. Not a lot of volatility going on right around that price that we have. It looks like it just moved on me about 36.60-ish. And then we have lots of buy side support coming in to back it up as well. So keeping us right in those mid 36s. So 50-day currently acting as resistance, breaking up above that and also turning it back to positive is going to be huge for it. And if it does, it is possible that we could see it use that 50-day as support, as it did so well leading up to that sell-off that we had where we finally broke support on June the 15th. Let's go to tip ranks and see what we have date-wise for those analyst estimates. While we're waiting for that, I'm going to take a sip of coffee because talking dries out my mouth. Ah, delicious. No problem, Casper, and no problem, Ed. All right, 41.97, 14% upside. Most recent one, 18 days ago, Deutsche Bank called it a buy at 47. Morgan Stanley hold it at 36. RBC Capital 42, hold it. Jeffries 19 days ago, buy at $60. Barclays bearish on it at $29. And then let me see, up to last month, $39. All right. So that 47 from Deutsche Bank is less than 1-star analyst. 4 out of 12 with a minus He's early on, though. We'll wait for the law of large numbers to take place and see if that smooths things out for man, I hate butchering these things online. I apologize to the analyst for not being able to say his name. Abhinandan Agarwal. All right. So 7 analysts, 2 buy, 4 hold, 1 sell at the moment. Price target on the average 41.97. All right. PLTR. Another sip of coffee. That was good. Nice. All right. So still marking time, holding in place, holding steady, trading sideways. Very low volume. Awesome. For that consolidation period, absolutely enormously what we wanted to see for Palantir is for it to hold a base of support for a while. And we're finally getting a lot of that volatility out of it and finally starting to hold that base of support right around that $21 mark that I have in there. And when we zoom in, right across the tops of these high 22s, so 22.73-ish is where I have my cursor right now. So that's our first resistance, and we're almost trading at it at the moment. But we are also down near this key support level that we have, and 23.65, so just above the mid 23s, so about 5% up until they run into resistance. Good news is 200 days positive, 50 period crossing over it. So right now they're about the same price, and we need to push above this resistance that we have in the high 22s. Breaking above 23 would be absolutely excellent for seeing the price start to change. Watching the lows, I don't have one drawn on here. I don't want to get too much crowded on here, but you can watch the lows get increasingly higher on this one. And the fact that this last candle engulfed the one before is good for us, keeps us on that same path. Analyst estimates on Palantir. This one, and again, when I talk about running a little bit rich, at this price, with its current price action, and this is just right now, this isn't down the road. I'll talk about down the road in a moment. To buy now, I think we'd be buying just a little bit rich based on the analyst estimates that we have on Palantir for the next 12 months. This is one I think that you have to look further than 12 months to really start to see that fundamental value take place and where the value for the company really comes in. A lot of sell side pressure. I just want to take a peek at the level 2 just for the day. So today it might be possible that in the near future, so today we don't break that $23 mark, but we want to see that upward pressure continue to start to push us upwards for starting to switch things around. Did I see that their earnings pumping before earnings? Let's see if we get an earnings preview yet from Seeking Alpha. So I've mentioned this before, the huge potential that PLTR has for share dilution through all the stock-based compensation that they've given to their employees over time, all the options that they've put out there. And that's something that concerns people. I think for traders, that and investors, it's a legitimate concern over time that they could see something that could, possibly keep the value of their shares from really taking off over time. So those are things that we want to watch out for. They do have a lot of government contracts, and governments tend to be sticky to their customers. So for Palantir, that's a good thing. They're also getting a lot of adoption through smaller businesses. And I really think that as they continue to expand, we're going to see huge revenues come in the meantime. And that should translate in really good ways to their bottom line overall. So Palantir, I think that we're going to see good things out of them moving forward. There we go. Let me put this in here. There we go. So analyst ratings on this one. Right now it's saying that we're going to still be right around the $22 per share over the next year. And honestly, over the next year, I could totally see that taking place. This is one where they've only recently lowered that barrier for entry for smaller companies to actually take part and interact with their software as a service that they have, and the AI that they have for optimizing people's businesses and saving them money. And the more they can show that they're the best there is at doing that, then the more customers that they'll have. So this is one that has significant headwinds to it through that share dilution in the future. And I think that that's going to be something that's going to mitigate against them. Did we get? I don't think I saw an earnings preview. That's what I came over here to look for. All right. And I don't know if they give us an estimated earnings date here. There you go. Pre-market on the 12th is what's listed here for the earnings date. So today's the 9th. That makes the 12th on Thursday during the pre-market hours. So we could possibly have, let me go back here. So today it's up almost 3.5%. There we go. So we could have a run up to Wednesday and a sell-off possibly before the market closes on Wednesday, or even in those pre-market hours, depending on what we get coming out of Palantir during that pre-market on Thursday. We're going to see a big move, likely one way or the other. Either we don't get good news and we get a significant drop, or we get really good news and it could take off. And there's always that chance that it doesn't do much in the middle either. But given the past volatility that we've seen with Palantir, I think that we will break this consolidation by the end of the week, moving into their earnings, whether it is to the upside or the downside. If it is down, I believe that overall the support around that low $20 mark is going to hold 21. Because when we look at max selling pressure, this did make it down to 17 when the entire, for pretty much anything high growth that we had that volatile movement, it was way down. I don't know that we'd see that again. So I think that we're going to find that low still hang around the 20s. Good news, then we have room up to the mid 23s. All right, what else we got here? All right, so Chinese stocks up too, it says. So let's check with our friend Alibaba, see if it broke up above 200 yet. Nope, 194. So it's still in this downward path that we have, and you can see the 50-day sort of moving right along with it. So still continuing that bearish trend, still searching for bottom. I wouldn't say that it's found it yet. So the next time, and we could see this drop down into back down into the 180. So in the meantime, really we need to break out of this trend that we see for them, and we could draw another line across the tops. Let's look at some of the other ones. Let's go EV. NEO still very much favored, and look at the way that it's just sort of like Digital Turbine did with wrapping itself around the moving averages. NEO is sort of doing that same thing. It can't decide if it wants to trade sideways, if it wants to go bullish, if it wants to go bearish. I think long term we're going to see by the end of 2021 we're going to see around that $50 to $60 per share over 12 months. I still think leaning more towards the $60 side. Which is right in line with what the analyst estimates say. It's actually a little bit low compared to what the analyst estimates say. So for stocks that I'm bullish on, like NEO, I'd like to go a little bit lower with what I see for them. And the reason that I like to do that for me is because, and I know that some people have a habit of looking at YouTubers as ones to pump stocks. I'm not a stock pumper because they're ones that I'm looking at them because I care to look at them. I care to invest in them. NEO's one that I'm long on NEO. And when you look at the analyst estimates, 64.50. So some people are saying in that $60 to $70 range. And even when you look at the analyst estimates here, when I say 50 to 60, the closest person that would be in there is that unknown analyst from BOCOM International at $57 that was given 2 months ago. So I believe that I'm giving low estimates when I say 50 to 60. And I think that that's comfortable for me because I like to not get myself overhyped when I look at these stocks and really think, with starry eyes, just how high it could go. It is fun to do that, but I don't know that it's the best way for me to invest. And what works for me to invest is sort of look at a little bit under where some other people would see it, where we take off just some of the shine and see if it's still attractive. All right. No problem, Pyro. Thank you. We have Mo at Doc. All right. Let me see what else you got. Skills. All right. So skills. Yeah. Check out ever since their earnings, putting in breaking this little trajectory that we had off of the lows. Again, they tossed out tons of revenue. Tons of money that they brought in. They put back out in advertisements. And going deep into that advertising money that they put out there, and not seeing the results come from it, seeing the monthly active users drop. I almost said monthly transacting users. The monthly active users drop from that is concerning and it is troublesome. But I also think that it's the nature of the beast in the space that Skills is in. Like I said, until that next viral game comes through, where you have that mass adoption and you get a lot more people interested and involved, when we see that happening, and I think that it's definitely possible it doesn't, but I also think that there's a high likelihood that it does. With the large number of developers that they have, I think the NFL thing is going to be exciting. We just won't find out the fruits of it until next year, and that's a long time to wait. So I'm hoping that we have some other things, some other markers along the way to show us the progress of Skills in the meantime. And we really want to see all their advertising start to turn into more active users on the platform, because the more active users that they have on the platform, then we start to see hopefully that growth trajectory take off again for Skills. So really, until that next positive big pump comes through, I don't know that we'll see a lot of price action. I think we're going to see a lot of that sell side pressure hold, and it's going to keep a depressed price for a while. So until we see the fruits of their labors really come out, until we see that next big game come out where there's a lot of mass adoption for it, those are the things that are going to cause it to move. And until then, I don't think that we'll see a lot of movement. All right. Morning, Bill. Where are we at? Okay, so up just over 3% for the day. I'm going to close things here. This comes from Poppy. Hello, Poppy. Fuel cell. So hydrogen play, I believe. Power generation, company ops fuel cell. There you go. Yep, sure source hydrogen. Just wanted to be extra certain before I start talking about it. So this one I don't follow on my own. You can see I had a line drawn in there for where that support was in the bottoms. And when February came along, there you go, February 17th, we started to get that big sell-off. We broke through it. And then we've sort of been on a downward path since. 200 days, still somewhat positively sloped, 50-day down below it, trading below it. Bearish signals coming from it, still in bearish territory according to RSI. The nice thing is it is trading near support levels, but what is it going to take to come up off those support levels? So hydrogen is one that gets debated for just how soon, how early are we in the industry? So it's a matter of, how long are you waiting on your money in the meantime? And being one of those smaller plays that we have, where was it at? So it's up over 29. So it can go 5x from here to get back up to that top of where it was at. Or you could look at it that it's only 1/5 the price that it used to be. No, actually, we're getting close to 7. I'm looking at the low price here. We are getting close to $7. So we're about 1/4 the price of what we used to be from its high. So this was definitely a bit of a run up, probably a little bit too much too fast. And then we saw a big correction coming out of it. And I think that for hydrogen, there's still a lot of hurt feelings and uncertainty that go along with it. And then the doubt that comes along with uncertainty. And so you don't really see that strong investment. Like I said, hydrogen power is one of those renewable energies that's still sort of dirty to produce in the first place. So really, and also not very cost effective. So until the technologies are developed to really bring that bring in more cost effectiveness. So lots of innovation has to happen there. And also to make ways of producing hydrogen for energy. Until that gets cleaned up, I think that we're going to see not as much come out of this as we could. And that doesn't mean that we won't see that price action go up for a fuel cell, but those are just things that for hydrogen in general, including plug power and that, that over time they will build out, because I think that there is promise that comes along with hydrogen technologies. I just think it's a very young technology where we're still looking for how to make it profitable, how to make it make really good business sense. And once that gets answered, then we're going to have some really big momentum coming out of this, and should be good things for the hydrogen industry overall. All right. So let's take one little look at GNOG here, because it's over the 50% mark. And I saw somebody mention something. So Troy says, just locked in 50% pop on GNOG. A great morning. Nice work, Troy. Well done. So our friend GNOG, Gold Nugget Online Gaming, again, that acquisition in Q1 of 2022. with DraftKings, currently rocking around 1857. So if you want to watch DraftKings for what GNOG is going to do, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I can watch GNOG and try and track its news. The two are going to influence each other, but because they're being acquired by DraftKings, you want to look at DraftKings in order to see what Gold Nugget's going to do overall. So right now, around like $21-ish per share is 12-month price target. According to what the 12-month price target is for DraftKings, is about what we're looking at for GNOG too. If you're wondering where this could go for you, whatever position you have in GNOG right now, over the next 12 months. So adjusted to go along in line with what we have coming through DraftKings. No problem, Poppy. All right. So thank you guys for attending. I've gone 20 minutes, 21, 22 minutes over. Absolutely love talking about this stuff. I absolutely love interacting with you guys in the chat. It's a lot of fun. So thank you so much for participating. I need to profits on GNOG or sell out. This guy, what I'm going to do, it is in my growth portfolio and it has a long-term time horizon on it. DraftKings is also there. So I'm just going to let this become DraftKings in Q1 of 2022. And I'm just going to keep on holding. So I don't see this price. Now, mind you, it is tied to DraftKings. So as long as DraftKings doesn't drop significantly, GNOG should also not drop significantly. So just keep that in mind. But it is one that I'm holding on to through the acquisition. And after it is acquired and after my shares become more shares through DraftKings, which I also hold in my portfolio, then I'm just going to keep on holding for the long term. At least over the next 3 to 5 years, watching as our online gambling legalization happens throughout the United States. We should see a lot of good things coming up for that market overall. And I think that DraftKings is really well positioned to capitalize on that. And now that they have GNOG bringing in even more users to that into the fold, is going to be also good for DraftKings overall. All right. Yeah, Brooke. All right. Well, Brooke, I'm glad that you persevered, and I know that it's not easy to wait through those times, and I'm glad that this time it panned out. So thank you, everybody. Absolutely wonderful. Really enjoyed having you, and I can't wait to come back tomorrow morning for more live stream at 9:15. So thanks again, and we'll see you tomorrow.